What kind of power makes a man turn against his good friend and fight him to the death?
She was an oversexed, bed-hopping, trashy person who thought that she was the belle of the ball.
The power of a deadly woman.
Sharon's a typical black widow. Marries for money, kills for profit.
I'll never understand how she could murder my dad.
Look at you.
You like?
Oh, I like.
Sharon Nelson doesn't go anywhere without making a splash.
Very nice.
The women in town looked at her thinking, why is she wearing that skirt so short? The men would look at her and think, wow, she's a hot little number. I'd like to get to know her.
How much?
Colorado doctor Perry Nelson thought the same thing. It's exactly what Sharon wants.
We'll be fine. You just need to relax.
Relax.
Immediately, she sets her eyes on the doctor in town, Dr. Nelson, who is handsome. He's kind of charismatic. He's rich. He's got money. He's got an airplane.
When Sharon meets Dr. Nelson, they're both married to other people. That doesn't stop her. 2 divorces later, she has her man.
When I first met her, I was just a girl, and from my perspective, I thought she was a lot of fun.
With a new husband comes a new stepdaughter. Lori Hustwaite was 13 when her father remarried.
I actually had some really good times with Dad and Sharon. We went on some trips together and camping together, and she seemed to include me in their new life together, and I guess you could say I liked her.
Sharon Nelson is not a woman who's safe to like.
Gary, come in. Come in. What do you think?
10 years into her marriage to Dr. Perry Nelson, Sharon is getting restless.
All right. Sharon, I'm lucky to meet the Mountain Man.
The mountain.
And, Raggedy Ann.
Sharon hosted a Halloween party. She's dressed as Scarlett O'Hara in a very romantic little costume that she's put together. And Gary Adams comes in as a mountain man.
Oh, yes, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Gary Adams is one of Dr. Nelson's friends.
Oh, Miss Sandra.
Yes, Sandra's here, yep. Sandra, look who's here.
To Sharon,
Save me a dance, Mountain Man.
I'll just do that.
he's another target.
He was rough, he was sexy, she thought, and he was strong. And all those things added up to excitement for her.
Remember that story I started to tell you?
Gary will be her new lover and her tool in a deadly plan.
Sharon was only dangerous to a man that could do something for her financially. Those were her husbands. They were the ones in danger.
Sharon has a problem. She married Dr. Nelson for money, and now she's spent it all.
What is this?
A new car.
The best way to refill her bank account
So I needed a new car.
is put a price on her husband's head
Yeah, but you always say that.
with life insurance.
Settle down. What is your problem?
Don't tell me to
She wanted the $200,000 in life insurance.
Like this.
She needed that. She wanted to fuel a lifestyle of extravagance. So the money was a motivator.
Take the goddamn car back!
But also, she was bored with the doctor. She wanted the excitement of a new adventure and of a new man.
that new man is her husband's good friend, Gary Adams.
Gary Adams was absolutely smitten by Sharon. He was pretty much a country boy, lived in a small home, did not have a lot of resources, and would have done anything for her.
So Sharon sends Gary on a special mission,
So you really do it?
a road trip with her husband.
Leave it to me.
My father was headed to Denver, and Gary Adams wanted to catch a ride with him.
You're not gonna...
Gary had my dad pull the car over and said he had to go to the bathroom, and came back to the car and said he had dropped his wallet.
How on earth did you lose your wallet? I don't know.
And so my dad went to help him look.
The ultimate betrayal awaits.
Wallets. Huh? Got here. Down there.
Gary took a rock and hit him over the head with it.
The murder isn't going to plan.
Anybody who is struck on the back of the head by a 15 to 20-pound rock should lose consciousness.
But the icy hand of the Colorado River is joining the fight.
Falling into icy water may cause this individual to become alert, to awaken. This would have heightened the intensity of the fight. The icy water, the strength and the adrenaline of the victim were not the killer's friend.
Perry Nelson didn't die easily. And in those last moments, he probably knew that his friend had come there to do evil to him.
Can't imagine how he would have felt about being betrayed. I can't imagine what his last thoughts were.
Sharon Nelson feels no remorse. This murder is just the beginning.
The fact that she had one husband killed and then used the same man to have another husband killed was just absolutely astounding to everybody who worked on this case.
When Dr. Perry Nelson goes missing on a drive to Denver, police and his family think it's just an accident.
My dad's body wasn't found for 13 months. So there was a long stretch of time there with lots of unanswered questions for us.
Look at you.
Wow.
Look
The
at
answers
you.
lie with Dr. Nelson's wife, Sharon.
How much was all this stuff?
She ordered his death.
Honey.
Sharon Nelson was an extremely narcissistic individual,
You just need to relax.
a absolute cold and calculating person who had the ability to manipulate others.
The killer is Sharon's lover, Gary Adams. He earns a bounty for his work.
Shortly after Perry Nelson was declared dead and Sharon had received her insurance settlement, Gary Adams was seen driving around town in a new pickup truck.
Three years later, Sharon has a new husband. Denver fireman Glenn Harrelson.
He told his friends, I found a fun-loving, classy beauty, and I couldn't be happier.
You didn't go shopping again, did you?
He just didn't know who he was with.
You want me to look good, don't you?
Marriage to Glenn Harrelson follows a familiar pattern. Sharon spends his money, becomes bored, and starts plotting his murder.
When she wanted her way out of something, she went to her go-to guy. She went to Gary Adams and said, Gary, I got to get out of this marriage.
Desperately in love, Gary Adams is in Sharon's complete control.
So how are you gonna do it?
Well, fire and water are the only things that cover your tracks.
Ready to kill for her, yet again.
He said, well, we've done it once. She says, I know, we can do it again.
When Glenn Harrelson arrives home one evening, his wife has a surprise for him.
When Glenn Harrelson walked into the door, Gary Adams then shot him in the head with a .22 pistol, then placed a bunch of papers and magazines on top of his body and set those on fire.
Glenn's body is found in the burnt-out house with a gunshot wound. Detective Glenn Traynor has some questions for the grieving widow.
When we asked her where she was when Glenn died, she stated very quickly that she was at a friend's house who lived just down the hill from her.
Did he say how?
We found that to be very odd because we did not even know at the time when Glenn had died.
Tired of living a lie.
Sharon can't keep her guilty secrets any longer.
Along with money problems can be doomed from the start.
Are you referring to your marriage with Glenn Harrelson?
No, Perry Nelson.
She was just very matter of fact, almost no emotion displayed. She could have been as very well talking about going to the grocery store as having her boyfriend commit 2 murders.
Gary said he could arrange so that...
I think Sharon confessed so quickly because she knew she wasn't going to get away with it,
What did he say?
and she wanted to be in control of it.
That fire and water are the only way to cover your tracks.
She actually thought she could paint Gary Adams into the corner, where he would take the fall for the crimes that she was very much involved in.
We need you to come down the station and make a full confession.
It didn't work.
Sharon Nelson and Gary Adams plead guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder. Both are serving life sentences.
I went to see Sharon before she was sentenced and wanted to ask her why she did what she did. I just told her she didn't just kill her husband. You know, she killed my father and she killed my children's grandfather. And she had nothing to say for herself that would give any indication that she was sorry for what she had done.
For the well-heeled of Macon, Georgia, there is only one place to lunch in 1947.
It was a real good restaurant. The judges ate there, the doctors, lawyers, people that lived and worked downtown would all go in there for lunch and for coffee during the day.
Something brings customers back. That something is 25-year-old Anjet Lyles.
Anjet was very good at dealing with people that came into the restaurant, and she shined. That was her world.
Anjet was a very beautiful woman. She had a gorgeous face and very good complexion.
I get you a straw too, absolutely.
Everybody loved Anjet.
Judge J. Taylor Phillips remembers the service at Lyle's restaurant as a young lawyer.
She would come and sit with you sometimes and talk with you. And she was just a nice person.
But Anjet's thrilling career is about to be ripped from under her. Her husband, owner Ben, has had enough.
What are you doing outside?
How's Tim?
What's going on?
I sold it.
You sold it? You sold the restaurant? What
Ben sells the family restaurant, along with his wife's dreams.
Baby, it's worth twice that.
I'm sick of running this place.
Oh, you're
I'm
sick of running this place. Well, that's just fantastic, okay?
But he will regret it.
She tried to cast all kinds of spells. She had all these candles that she burned. Green was for money, and red was for love. Of course, the black candle was for death.
Anjet believes in black magic. But when she really wants something, she also turns to more practical agents.
She used an ant poison. It was called taro ant poisoning, and it was supposedly very sweet to attract ants.
And a clever murderer can put it into any different type of food, and the victim may have no idea that they're ingesting it.
Ben Lyles has been sick with rheumatic fever since his time in the service. But once he sells the restaurant, Ben rapidly deteriorates.
There can be bleeding from the nose and mouth, swelling of the soft tissues around the eyes, weeping skin lesions, and there can be the onset of acute liver failure.
Nobody could quite pinpoint it. Nobody could figure out what it was.
Author Jacqueline Weldon has documented the painful death of Anjet's husband. A death doctors attribute to encephalitis.
I think it was almost a committee decision to come up with a cause of death because they could not pinpoint anything else.
Well, how y'all doing, Sugar? Enjoy yourself? Thank you so much. That's fantastic.
With a life insurance payout and the proceeds of her husband's sale, Anjet buys back her passion.
I know. I love the walls, too.
It's under new management.
I like the menu, but I gotta thank you very much.
It became more popular than it had ever been. It was open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hi there. I'm so glad you guys came. I could smell it from out the street.
Oh, do this one. You take yourself a seat.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's no worries.
One happy customer is Joe Gabbert, a dashing pilot from Texas.
Well, excuse me, Chef. Can I please just get 2 drinks? I'm gonna sit right down here. Okay, then.
So, what's your name?
My name's Anjet.
As soon as he saw her, he was captivated by her.
I just couldn't stop myself from coming in when I was outside.
Oh, really?
He told her that night he was going to marry her.
I'm gonna marry you.
Oh.
He courted her very energetically. And in just a few months, she agreed to marry him.
But Joe is flying into trouble. His new wife is not what she seems. Within months of walking down the aisle, Joe will be dead.
Anjette is pretty much of a sociopath. She has no feelings of empathy or love for anyone.
Before she's 30, Anjette Lyles has been widowed twice. The secret to her misfortune: arsenic poison. First husband Ben dies shortly after selling the family restaurant. Second husband Joe dies of a mysterious illness after just 3 months of marriage. But instead of mourning, Anjette is thriving in her restaurant.
She was not the grieving widow. She was laughing and talking to people, friendly like, you know, just like it was a big ball.
It looks like Anjette has gotten away with murder twice. With another life insurance payout, she buys a new home. But then, a complication.
And her mother-in-law announced that she'd move in with her. I don't think Anjette had planned on that. But Julia Lyles moved into the house with Anjette and her grandchildren.
Well, thank you very much for a
But Anjette finds a way to eliminate her problem
so much money, and she doesn't have a will that's been made out to anybody.
and make even more money.
Anyway, the way to fix it.
Anjette had discovered that her mother-in-law had a great deal of money in savings in a couple of banks in Atlanta, upwards of $40,000, $50,000.
So the way to fix it is just if we get a lawyer to sign away on her will, leaving the money to me.
Anjette was a money person. She was interested in money.
So you just sign your name there.
She tried to get me to witness a will of Miss Lyles.
I can't sign this.
Oh, you can't? You can't
No.
sign it?
I can't sign this. I need to witness their signature here.
And I wouldn't do it because it wasn't her signature. I could tell it was. I'd seen her signature before, and it just wasn't hers.
Oh, okay then. Well, that's fine. That's not
Anjette is forging her mother-in-law's will because Julia Lyles doesn't have long to live.
She would take her things like buttermilk and chicken pot pie, things that she would tell the staff were her favorites. A lot of people would comment and say, you know, I'm so impressed by Anjette.
But it's a lethal devotion.
Somewhere in Anjette's mind, she developed the idea that the best way to handle family problems was to simply get rid of them. Get rid of them by murder.
Of all Anjette's poisonings, there will be one that trumps them all.
That's really good luck. You should make a wish. Well, what is all this talking? Don't you have things to do, Mel? What are you looking at? Well, I don't care that you found a nickel. Nobody cares that you found a nickel.
Her daughter simply became an accessory that she didn't want anymore.
You're always talking and yelling and saying things, and nobody cares.
I'm not sure she ever loved that child, really. She just acted ugly to that child every time I've ever seen her.
Sit yourself down. I have just had about enough with you.
Daughter Marcia will also die in an arsenic-induced nightmare.
The child was having hallucinations. She saw bugs crawling on her. And Jet was standing in a corner laughing, as though she found it very amusing.
But this murder changes everything. A young child, suddenly dead, makes no sense at all.
The doctors at the time could find other explanations for the deaths of the two husbands, but Marcia was, to all appearances, a healthy child.
Police demand an autopsy.
And within a very short time, the results came back, and Marcia had died of arsenic poisoning. They exhumed Ben Lyle's body, and they exhumed Julia Lyle's body, and again found traces of arsenic in both of those bodies.
And Jet's secrets are finally revealed. Far from the vivacious host with a run of bad luck, she's a serial killer with no mercy.
People just could not believe that this woman that they thought they knew so well and liked so much could have done this.
It was just a shock to see what kind of real person she was.
Ann Jet Lyles is convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death. But she appeals on the grounds of insanity and is diagnosed a paranoid schizophrenic.
She said, well, they think I'm crazy. If they don't think I'm crazy, they're gonna fry my ass, so they have to think I'm crazy.
Ann Jet is spared execution and lives out her life in an asylum. She dies of a heart attack at age 55, but her charm survives to this day.
A lot of people never thought she was evil. I think a lot of people thought that she was just had some mental quirk and that caused all of it, and it really wasn't her fault.
And Jet was a very high-functioning, dedicated, driven, successful businesswoman. That is not a description of a paranoid schizophrenic. And Jet was crazy, like a fox.